Thanks, Gavin. Some really good practical examples there. My name is Peter Hryhorec. I work as a health advisor for the Australian Industry Group. If you're not aware of the Australian Industry Group, we're a peak industry body offering a range of services for our members, including apprentice and trainee services, policy, workplace lawyers, advice, and also our consulting services, which include safety and, I'm proud to say, health and wellbeing. So with today's presentation, I'm going to try the impossible and fly through 3 practical examples. And I'm also going to try and match it up to Nikki's theory. And the first practical example is with a company that I work with called Intercast and Forge. And this is just a few of their many examples. One particular worker on the left there that has lost a staggering 40 kilos, completely changed his life around. You can see the top right corner, there's a worker there that smoked for 44 years and he gave up has been quit for 3 years now and is helping others with the process as well. And the other photo you can see is the group of workers working on their health habits, doing different things such as health challenges. So I'm going to start with some of the end results, but I'm going to work my way backwards. So for this to actually happen, they've set up a very structured approach, and they've consulted their workforce and also engaged their workforce as well. So the calendar that you were talking about, Marty, and the calendar includes smoking, nutrition, alcohol, physical activity, and also mental health as well. So it's a very well-rounded program. But for this to happen, and as mentioned a few times today, it's really important to have a vision. And that company has a very, very strong vision of what they actually want to achieve. If you look really closely, the 2 guys on the right-hand side, that's the guy that had given up smoking. You can see him throwing the smokes in the bin, and you can see the guy next to him throwing the can of energy drink into the bin as well. So it's a really strong vision of what they want to achieve at their workforce. And if you walk through their workforce on the foundry floor and you're having Cokes and energy drinks, you get told off pretty quickly. So that's the culture of their actual workplace. The vision is amplified even more. You can see the bike on the left-hand side, which is more of a metaphor. It's a statement for good health. On the right-hand side, you can see one of the champions that's talking to their fellow workers on the foundry floor about good health. This is what we stand for at Intercast, and this is what we're set out to achieve. And there's another but. But for this to happen, and where it all ties in today, with Nikki's talk, it requires integration and it also requires leadership. So you can see the photo on the left-hand side. It looks like any sort of safety meeting, but it's really not. It integrates management, safety, HR and operations. They're all in on the discussion there, so that's really important, and that's what's helped to manufacture their results. I'm starting to see more and more companies operate like this. So this was 3 years ago, and the results continue, which is really good. And you can see management on the right-hand side tinkering with their program, and good to see they're standing at their standing workstation while they're doing so. For this to happen, we probably even have to dig a little bit deeper. And this is the industry that I work in, manufacturing. But it's really important to take out of this, regardless of the industry that you work in, what is it that you want to do? And I know Nikki referred to the why. Why are we actually here? Well, this is a really good starting point for this particular company. Obesity rates, 66% manufacturing, overweight and obesity. Nutrition, very poor. Physical activity levels, very poor. So there's a good starting point to try and make some changes. And there's no looking back for that worker that lost 40 kilos. So the results are well and truly there. And there's massive room for improvement in any industry. I know Marty touched on the mental health, but this is quite sad and also quite staggering. 2017 saw the highest rates of suicide, 3,128 suicides. For every suicide, there's about 30 attempts. So if you think of MCG on Grand Final Day, that's the amount of attempts. And it is going to happen in your workplace, and it's very, very scary. So that dark purple colour is the trend for suicides. The bluey colour is actually the road toll, so suicide is nearly double. Very, very scary. On to case study number 2. This is a big part of our ongoing service at AI Group, and I believe engagement is a real cornerstone of any wellbeing program. How do you actually know what to do if you're not engaging your workforce? And this is one little project that I ran with a company. I ran a series of interviews, and the whole aim was to improve physical and mental health within their workplace. And there's some really interesting comments here. The question that I asked, and I interviewed about 100 of the workers, are you aware of the services available for mental health? And I've cut this down a fair bit, but I've put it into different colours. When asked that question, in the blue you can see a real focus on safety is needed. So that's a bit of a moment there. I'm asking a question about mental health, but it's coming back to safety. So it's very much integrated. In the red you can see, yes, I'm aware, but if we had some simple flexible work arrangements in the office, it would be better for my mental health. Cut some slack for early or late starts. We're talking 15 minutes either way. And I remember discussing this with this particular worker, and that was nearly a deal breaker. If that worker leaves that workplace, think of the cost to replace her. So it's a pretty simple fix working with management and that communication. And in the green there, some of the comments are around more education sessions, boosting up Are You OK, and more health promotion in general. So you can see here that making these workplace improvements is not singular. When asked the question, are you happy at work? If yes, why? What makes you happy? If you're not happy, why not? And what can the workplace actually do about it? Breaking it down again, you can see in the blue there, it's a great workplace, but we've got dust issues. So for some of the workers, it was simple around looking at dust masks. If you could fix that, you could actually fix a few problems with their happiness. In the red there, from a HR perspective, more work around communication. I'm letting my workplace down if I say no to weekend work. I've missed quality time with my family because of this. So some really interesting comments through that engagement there. And in the green there, more around health promotion. We've got a smoke-free area, but I get away with smoking in that area still. Quite funny. But because of that, we've got a smoke-free area. I used to smoke 3 cartons a month and now smoke 1 carton a month. Not too bad. So some room for improvement. But what this allows us to do is provide recommendations to the company and the management, recommendations around work-life balance, communication, flexible work arrangements, safety, mental health, whatever it might be. So it's all integrated in together to get a positive result. This is another company I work with, not part of my third case study, but you can see furthermore that engagement is so important. When asked the question to workers, what are you actually interested in? What topics would you like to learn more about? I know that's difficult to read, so I'll take you through it. In the green there, healthy eating. So 77 workers answered that question, and well over 50% wanted more education, more initiatives around healthy eating. Stress management in the yellow goldy colour down the bottom, and in the purple pink, in the reddy pinky colour, I'm a bit colourblind, sorry, positive mental health tips. So these are the key trends that are coming out of the workforce, which can help to work out what your next step might actually be. My last example, a really good example, and I'm proud of this member company, Mummy Tools. They're a small company down south. They manufacture tools. The highest thing on their agenda after a survey was growing a veggie garden. And, you know, that wasn't really off my recommendations, but taking the path of least resistance was important for them. This is what they wanted to do, and why stop that? But doing that has actually opened up some really good opportunities. You can see the management there working with the worker to hand out some of the produce which was from their veggie garden, and also doing the fruit drive as well. You can see, if you look closely, the calendar in the background which rolls out their program for the entire year. So they're starting to put more structure towards it. As a result of that, they've now moved into the mental health space, and they ran a really good exercise around gratitude. So saying to each other, what do you do well in the workplace, which was a real positive for, you know, really hard nut manufacturing workers. So some good things going on there. Just to wrap up, if you are interested in some of our case studies, you can see what Intercast have done and some other companies. We've got case studies on our AI Group Vimeo page, and it also outlines safety culture as well. So what we're doing in both safety culture and also the wellbeing space. We've also got a table just out the back there, and Ryan, our membership guy, is on board if you want to be directed to where those videos are. And we're also running Healthy and Productive Workplaces event. Get Your Wellbeing program set for 2019. This is next Friday at the Polaris Centre, and the following Friday at Tonsley, with also an optional tour. So that's booking out pretty quickly. We'll get down to the nitty-gritty of health and wellbeing and those calendars and what you might actually need, and I'll be co-presenting that with Marty, Gavin and Tim, who's up next. Thank you very much.